From the mind of a misfit. Wild like my daddy, but straightforward like my mama. Drank like granddad, smoked sluggish like the other. But granddad feels the guts. Hustle like my uncle JT and cousin Big D. I got big dreams like Jimmy Lee. And my aim to fulfill it for anything. Keep a job like Uncle Kevin told me. Top notch player like David. And that caddy thing since the 80s slab. Been corporate thug and political like Jack. May rest in peace, but I've been taught a lot. See, it's hot head, wasn't scared to get money. Nor leave the beat to see. You can't play me like I'm a pawn in the game. Chess, jokester like Big Kenny and Ski. G like Jarrell, Jeremy. Trigger happy, it's about my family. Alone like my granny. Lula, chuckling, giggling. Hunting my shoulders like my daddy's and the lead. Routed like them Tyson seeds. And spiritual like rewards. A go-getter like Arian. A religious, romantic Khalil like no one, ever. I'm also like Uno. My soldiers, untold story like my bro, T-Bird. And cousin Ray I can get aim like Bird and freak nasty like John and Gene. I can be man, it's respectful, tap it to a different breed.
I can't wait till they get a load of me.
Drake get love to read, memory lessons from ancestral pillars, legacy family.
We are unapologetic.
Hey, with a red mentality.
We are unapologetic.
Hey, with a red mentality. I can't wait.
I can't wait.
Can't wait to get load of me.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to get load of me. I can't wait. I can't wait to get load of me.
Right on. Hey, champions, welcome to tonight's edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see my buddy Sherwin in South Africa is in the building watching. Thank you so much, brother, for tuning in. Appreciate you. I see my cousin Tamika's on. My Aunt Sue is on. Thank you so much for watching. And let's dive in. Today's topic is really something that everyone can relate to because we all deal with difficult people. We all have a tendency to come across people that just specialize in being difficult for whatever reason. And so we're going to talk about how to deal with them, how to handle them, because this is beneficial. And if you get value from it, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to share this podcast once it's uploaded. Having said all that, let me share some things that I've learned that's helped me with how to deal with difficult people. Now, what I've learned is regardless of our age, regardless of our social status, there will always be some difficult people out there who want nothing more than to bully and belittle us. It's sad, but it's a harsh reality. And sometimes they are our colleagues at work. Sometimes they're people in our own neighborhoods. Sometimes they're people that we may run into on the playground, at the club. Sometimes they're even in our own families if we're not careful. And just as difficult people will always exist in the world, so too will our power to choose how we respond to them. Ask yourself this. Do we let them make their pain our own? Or do we choose to transform their pain into personal growth and strength? Do we let them win? Or do we choose to win? And it's hard to make wise choices in the heat of the moment. But when we choose to win and transform pain into personal growth and strength, what will happen is we aren't just improving our own lives. We're also improving the lives of the people that we love and the people who look up to us. With that being said, however, sometimes handling or dealing with difficult people and winning is difficult. And the thing about it is this. We have to realize that there are certain things, certain strategies that we can use that will help us deal with these difficult people and find value as well. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've learned to do that's helped me deal with difficult people. First off, you have to learn how to practice detaching yourself from other people's biased opinions. Detach yourself. Put that into practice from other people's biased opinions. What do I mean by that? You may not be able to control all the things that people say and do, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And the way that people treat you is their problem. How you respond internally is your problem. And what you need to remember is that the things people say and do to you is much more about them than it is about you. Think about this. People's reactions to you are about their perspectives, their own bias, and their own past experiences. Whether people think you're amazing or believe you're absolutely disgusting, again, it's more about them and how they view the world. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should just become self-indulged narcissists and ignore all of the opinions and commentary that we receive from others. What I'm simply saying is that incredible amounts of hurt, incredible amounts of disappointment, and incredible amounts of sadness in our lives come directly from our tendencies, whether we know it or not, to take things too personally. And that's something that I've had to learn over the years, and that's something that I believe I've gotten better at. Because I used to take everything personally. I always felt like everything was a personal attack and so on and so forth. Now, in most cases, it's far more productive and healthy to let go of other people's good or bad opinions of you and to just operate with your own insight and your own intuition as your guide. That's the first thing. So again, practice detaching yourself from other people's bias and opinions. That's the first step. Secondly, learn how to wish them well and move forward with your day. I'm going to say it again. Learn how to wish them well and move forward with your day. This is what this simply means. Don't lower your standards, but do remember that removing your expectations of others is the best way to avoid being disappointed by them. And that's important because we have to realize that there's no real reason to expect others to treat you the way that you treat them. Not everyone has the same heart as you. And even in this season of my life, I've been told that constantly. Have I liked being told that? No. But it is what it is. And that's truth. There's validity in that statement. Think about it. Meditate on it. Let it sink in. Ultimately, the real test is being kind to unkind people. And that's a task. That's a challenge. Especially when you come across certain people that are just campaigning for you to give them a piece of your mind. And we all deal with it, myself included. Because on a regular basis, I come across some idiot that, almost pushes me there because they'll do something stupid or do something difficult that just, it's as if they just lack common sense. But I've learned that common sense is not always common. And yes, you can always stand tall and be sincerely kind to people even the people that you strongly disagree with. Remind yourself that you never know what someone has been through in their life or what they're going through today. And the truth of the matter is, we just have to do our best. We just have to be kind, be generous, and be respectful no matter what. It's not about if people love you or hate you. What's more important is if they respect you. And truth be told, all of the hardest The coldest people that you meet were once as soft as cottonelle tissue. And that's the tragedy of living. So when people are rude and difficult, be mindful, be your best, and give those around you the break that you hope the world will give you on your own bad day. Because we all are prone to having bad days. We all are prone to having those moments where we just don't feel like being bothered with people. You know, and we'll even take that into work. I don't want to deal with nobody today. I don't want to deal with these idiot customers today. And I'm sure you done said it because I done said it myself. You know, just be real about it. And once you do that, once you give them the opportunity and the courtesy to just, you know, give them a break, chances are you won't regret it. Third thing, model the behavior that you want to see. Model the behavior that you want to see. What do I mean? When someone insists on bringing hostility and bringing drama around you or bringing drama on you, be an example. Ignore their outlandish antics and focus on being compassionate. Now, that's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. And communicate and express yourself from a place of peace, from a place of love with the best intentions. It's all about intent. And use your voice for good to inspire, to encourage, to educate, and to spread the type of behavior that you want to see in others. And I've often heard it said, you know, that a kind word turns away strife. There's a lot of validity to that. And think about this. This, of course, as I've said, is easier said than done. But it takes long-term practice. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But the people that have the ability to do this is the ones that look young, even though they're getting up there in age, because they've learned how to not let stuff get to them. So that's something to keep in mind. And then even with years of this practice behind me, I sometimes catch myself being rude to people who are rude to me. And I behave badly because they behave badly. And even if the situation is absolutely their fault, my behavior only escalates the situation. I'm not a robot. I'm human. I slip up just like anyone else. You know, every man is flawed. Every woman is flawed. And I'm going to say that till the cows come home. I'm going to say that till the chickens come home to roost. It is what it is. But so I do my best. What I do is I do my best to take a deep breath and do my best to set a good example of how to deal with anger and frustration. And I do my best to be patient and compassionate with them to a point, to demonstrate a positive way of handling difficult people. And so doing so always helps me make progress, even if it's not instantaneous, so to speak. Because this life is not about perfection. None of us are perfect. This is about progression. Your mindset should be further along in the journey than it was 10 years ago. Otherwise, you're wasting time. It's just that simple. And so I trust that you all are getting something from this so far. Let's go to another point. I would say that another thing that you can do is take positive control of negative conversations. And this is huge. It's okay to change the topic. It's okay to change it to talk about something positive, or steer conversations away from pity parties, drama, and self-absorbed sagas, so to speak. And you have to learn that you're not going to agree with everything somebody says, but be willing to disagree with difficult people and be willing to deal with the consequences. Now, some people really don't recognize their own difficult tendencies or their inconsiderate behavior. One of the things, and I like to be honest with you all, and I like to be honest about myself. And I know I got a couple friends on here, and they can vouch for me when I say this. I have a tendency to be stubborn. But here's the thing. I'm not so stubborn to the point where I can't acknowledge that I'm wrong about something. I can acknowledge it. I can apologize for it. But if I feel like I'm right about something, I'm standing on it. I'm unapologetic about it. And you will have a nice time trying to convince me otherwise. Now, if I'm flat out wrong, acknowledge it, acknowledge it and move forward. But everybody cannot do that. Rita, I don't need you co-signing on that. But you can vouch for me on that. It is what it is. And the thing about it is, when you do that, people actually, when you can acknowledge where you're wrong, people, they gain respect for you. Because everybody is not right about everything. I don't care how much you know about a subject. You can be put in a position where you learn something that you don't know. And no one is above reproach. It's just that simple. And we all should be learning from each other. We all should be able to, feed off of each other instead of just leeching onto someone where you have somebody just doing this, and you're just basically, just sucking the life out of them. So that's something to really, really think about. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, you are humble. And I appreciate that. You are humble too. Definitely appreciate that. Think about this. You can actually, like, some people really don't recognize their own tendencies. You can actually tell a person, I feel like you ignore me until you need something. You can actually tell them that. You can also be honest if their overly negative attitude is what's driving you away. You can say it as if, I'm trying to focus on positive things. What's something good we can talk about to steer the subject into the right direction, or steer the conversation into the right direction? Now, it may work, it may not work, but your honesty will help ensure that any communication that continues forward is built on a mutually beneficial ground. So that's important. I got a couple more, and then I'm going to wrap this up because I don't have to be all night. It is what it is. Another way to handle difficult people is to become proactive. Become proactive in establishing healthy and reasonable boundaries. What do I mean by that? Practice becoming aware of your feelings and needs. Your feelings and needs matter just as much as any other person. And note the times and the circumstances when you're resentful of fulfilling someone else's needs. That's important. Why? Because you need to gradually build boundaries by saying no to gratuitous requests that cause resentfulness in you. Now, of course, this will be hard at first because it may feel a bit selfish, but there is a fine line between being selfish and selfless. You have to have a balance. Just like there is a time to speak and a time to be quiet, there is a time to be selfish and a time to be selfless. The problem is we live in a society that feeds off of being selfish. And they totally neglect the importance of being selfless. But if you, like, for example, if you ever, think about this. If you ever have flown on a plane, you know that flight attendants instruct passengers to put on their own oxygen mask before attending to others, even their own children. Why is that? Because you cannot help others if you're incapacitated. Think about that. In the long run, proactively establishing and enforcing healthy and reasonable boundaries with difficult people will be one of the most charitable things that you can do, not only for yourself, but for those that you care about. And these boundaries will help foster and preserve the best in you, because you have a responsibility to become and grow into the best version of yourself, so that you can share the best of yourself with the people who matter the most, not just the difficult ones who try to keep you tied up. Two more and then I'm done. Another thing that's very important in how to handle difficult people: make extra time for yourself. Make extra time for yourself. What do I mean by that? Difficult people who wallow in their own problems. Oh, woe is me. Why is all of this happening to me? What did I do to deserve all of this? People who wallow in their problems and they fail to focus on finding solutions are obviously people that are hard to handle and hard to deal with. Here's why. Because they want other people to join in their 24/7 pity party. After all, you know the saying, misery loves company. So they can feel better about themselves. And you may feel pressure to listen to their complaints simply because you don't want to seem rude, you don't want to seem callous, but there is a fine line, ladies and gentlemen, between lending a compassionate ear and getting the life sucked out of you, and just basically getting sucked into their emotional drama. Nobody has time for that. And if you're forced to live or work with a difficult person, trust me, I work with difficult people. I do. And they're not. Let's put it like this. Let's just say, before I go into work every day, there is meditation that has to take place. Now, unfortunately, things have been better because I'm out of the office 4 days a week now. So I'm only in the office one day. But when I go into the office and I know I'm going to be in the office all day, there's some meditation that has to go on. Because I unfortunately, I'll go in and I'll say to myself, I don't want to hear their mess today. Because we all have that person, or know that person that is all about drama. They feed off of it. It's like drama is their life's blood, so to speak. And nobody has time for that. And so if you're forced to live or work with a difficult person, then make sure that you have enough alone time to relax, to rest, to recuperate. And having to play the role of a focused, rational adult in the face of countless moodiness can be exhausting. It can drain you. And if you're not careful, their toxic attitudes and their toxic behavior can start to affect you. So remember that even people with legitimate issues, people with legitimate problems, and even people that have clinical illnesses can still comprehend that you have needs as well, which means that you can politely excuse yourself when necessary. And then finally, so this will bring me up to number 7. And for those that hopped on late, I'm going to recap the 7 ways that you can handle dealing with difficult people. But this last one is, let them know that you respectfully do not care. I'm going to say it again. Let them know that you respectfully do not care. And this one is essentially like the last resort. And it's not really what you say, is how you say it. And if you tried your best to communicate respectfully with a difficult person or to gracefully distance yourself from them, but they insist on following you around and attacking you for whatever reason, because we all have that breaking point. We all have that one button, that one nerve to where if they hit it, all hell breaks loose. If you get to that point and you come across someone that does that for whatever reason, it's your time for being silent is over. It's time to speak up and tell them that their words are flat out meaningless. And in such situations, I challenge you to make this your lifelong motto. I respectfully do not care. And say it to anybody. Say it to anybody who relentlessly passes public judgment on something you strongly believe in, or something that makes you who you are. And remind yourself that you did nothing wrong. Some people will inevitably judge you no matter what. That's life. No matter what you do, no matter how right you are, somebody gonna have something negative to say. And guess what? That's okay. You affected their life. Do not let them affect your life. So to recap, I just gave you 7 things that you can do that will help you in how to deal with difficult people. The first one was practice detaching yourself from other people's opinions. That's the first one. That's something that is very important. Secondly, wish them well as you move forward with your day. Again, wish them well and move forward with your day. The third thing was model the behavior that you want to see. That's number 3. Number 4 was take positive control of negative conversations. You have the ability to turn the conversation around. So that's number 4. Number 5 was proactively establish healthy and reasonable boundaries. We all got to have boundaries. If we don't have boundaries, then it'll be utter chaos. The 6th thing was make extra time for yourself. What's the sense of constantly going and going and going and you don't take time for yourself? You're going to burn yourself out if you do that. And then finally, the last one was let them know that you respectfully do not care. And as I wrap this up, think about this. Now, it doesn't help to tame all of the difficult people in your life if you're not ready to foster genuine relationships with good people. And on occasion, you may actually find that the difficulties between you and someone else drain away rather quickly when you start being less difficult yourself. And honestly, I'm not really trying to preach, but this is something that I'm working on even in my own life. I'm definitely trying to teach. And this is a lifelong practice. So make that first call, offer a genuine compliment, even schedule a fun outing with another person's preferences in mind. Send them a ridiculously silly text message for no reason, because there are tons of ways to build and develop and nurture genuine relationships with people who are worth the extra effort and sacrifice. And when good people and good intentions start surrounding you, it's amazing how unnecessary pettiness, toxic people, toxic relationships, and difficulty will simply fade away from your conscious awareness. And this really goes back to the point about modeling the behavior that you want to see. Because just as light dispels darkness, your light can be a shining example to everybody around you, including those who mean well but don't realize their own difficult tendencies. And even though you'll likely need to limit your exposure to some people, don't estimate the possibility that your example may influence them for the greater good, one way or another, in the long run. So as I wrap this up, I want to ask you something. How have difficult people affected your life and even your relationships? And do you have anything else or any other insights or thoughts to share? And if you have something to share, make sure you leave it in the comments section, because I actually read my comments and I actually respond to them. I'm not one of these people that just get comments and don't respond. I like interaction. So having said all that, thank you so much to everyone who has hopped on, taking time out of their schedule because they felt like I had something substantial to say, or this was a topic that really resonated with them. But I hope that I gave you something to think about. And again, if you got value from it, feel free to like, comment, and share this on your Facebook walls. As always, remember, in life, you have two choices. You can make moves or you can make excuses, but you most certainly cannot do both. And if you haven't already done so, as you can see, I'm rocking my own gear. Be sure to check out my website at www.motivationtoelevation.com. That's www.motivation2elevation.com. Again, it's yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back next Tuesday, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Peace.